Hey guys, what is up? Plastic Guy here, coming back with another figure review where today we're taking a look at the Spider-Man 3 Spider-Man figures. This is the Spider-Man 3 Peter Parker quick change figure, and I picked him up just how he is right here. He didn't come with the alternative suit or anything. And you're probably like, why did you pick this figure up? You've said time and time again how you hate these Spider-Man 3 Hasbro figures. And I know, there's a couple reasons why I picked this guy up. I was scrolling through eBay, here he was for a great price, and I saw he had the Peter Parker head sculpt. And the first reason, I've said before, I really love Spider-Man figures when they come with that alternative Peter Parker head. I love figures in general when they come with an alternative head sculpt with the alter ego. And yeah, I mean, he just kind of appealed to me. I love the Raimi films so much. I love the Raimi figures, and I do collect as many Raimi figures as I can get. Normally they are the Toy Biz or the Hasbro trilogy line because they're so much better than this 5-inch scale line. But I thought I've got quite a lot of these Spider-Man 3 figures that for some reason I've gained along the way, and I might as well add to that if it is Peter Parker in his Spider-Man costume, you know? And because of that, I realised I didn't actually have any normal Spider-Man figure just with the red and blue, so yeah, I went through eBay and I found this guy for even cheaper than this one. They were both under £10, so yeah, I just got him as well, and it just so happens to be the exact same figure, which I guess is kind of lucky. I don't know, we'll get into that a bit more in the video, which, speaking of, let's get into the video. Let's take a closer look at these guys. But before we do, and I know I've asked this before, but let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think of the Hasbro 5-inch trilogy line. Later on in this video, I will compare these guys to the rest of the Spider-Man 3 figures I have in my collection, because I think when you just look at these guys all by themselves among each other, they look not too bad, but when you start comparing them to any other figure line, they just look rubbish. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and while you're down there guys, if you could do me a massive favour, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. But let's not wait any longer, let's take a closer look at mostly Peter Parker. So here is our Hasbro Peter Parker Spider-Man figure from the Spider-Man 3 5-inch Hasbro line. And even though they're 5 inches, they seem so small, and we can check that out later on when we're comparing this guy to some other figures. But just to take a closer look at Spidey here. Yeah, I mean, I think we all knew I wasn't going to have rave reviews. I'm going to try and not be too harsh. I've been extremely harsh on these Hasbro figures in the past. Let's try and, you know, tone it down a little. Let's try and keep it positive. This isn't the worst Tobey Maguire head sculpt, but it must be up there. I can't lie and say I've seen any Tobey Maguire head sculpts that are worse than this. There's not a lot floating around, but I mean, you can kind of tell who it's meant to be. If we grab one of the best Tobey Maguire head sculpts here is the wrestler Spidey, and just look at the difference. It's insane. This just screams Tobey Maguire. So much better scaled, so much better sculpt, the paint and everything. And then we have Hasbro's 5-inch line that it looks like this. But moving on, the rest of the Spider-Man outfit isn't too bad. I mean, paint wise, it's pretty spot on, a nice red, the spider logo looks great, and then we get this textured blue area, and the texture is really nice, but the sculpt sucks. There's no articulation on this guy whatsoever. He doesn't even have a proper thwipping hand. That's not how Spider-Man spins his web. That is awful. I really hate how they just skip steps here to make that, do you know what I mean? Like, how hard was it to make this a thwipping hand? How hard would that have been? Okay, I said I wasn't going to be harsh, moving on. There's just no articulation here, none in this elbow, and none in this elbow either, but at least we get a good fisted hand on this arm, so that's something. As I said, I do really like that logo there, just to go over that again, trying to find new positives, but we'll go back to the old ones. And then maybe my biggest dislike of this figure, which is hard to choose the #1 dislike, but the legs are dreadful. I mean, the legs on their own, but even just putting, like, looking at the rest of the figure, mate, am I onto something here? Oh, okay, so, okay, let's take a wee second. So when this guy arrived from eBay, the original owner must have had the leg the wrong way around. I didn't realise. This looks a wee bit better. It doesn't even improve the look of the legs that much. That's how bad these legs are. Yeah, it does look a wee bit better, but they're just so skinny and weird looking, like, I don't know, the legs suck. They suck. At least they have better articulation going on here. Pretty much a double jointed knee. And then there's no articulation in the lower leg at all. So in terms of articulation and sculpt, not the best, but I do like the paint and I do really like the texturing on the legs. So then the other figure I picked up was this guy, and I'm fairly sure this is the exact same figure. Exact same articulation, exact same sculpt, but it's got the Spider-Man head on it and it pops off. So does this one. And we can just pop this one into here. So yeah, this one the paint's a lot better, so I'll probably keep the Tobey Maguire head sculpt on this one. But basically I think this figure was called the Quick Change Spider-Man, Peter Parker, whatever, and it came with a wee suit that I think clipped on the front here, and then you got Spider-Man separate, so you would have, hold on, in the box you had Spider-Man up in the top here, and then you had a Tobey Maguire head sculpt as well as a suit down here, and then you could take the head sculpt in the suit and pop it on the Spider-Man. So yeah, I ended up basically by accident picking up the same figure, which was kind of a win because the only reason I wanted the normal Spider-Man 3 movie figure was because I had the unmasked one now. So yeah, it's worked out pretty well, but once again I still have the same problems, like why is there not a whipping hand? And I do know there is Spider-Man 3 5-inch figures with whipping hands and better articulation, so I might keep my eye out, but I think I'm done with this line. I will say though, the Spider-Man head sculpt isn't too bad. It looks pretty small, especially judging by the size of that chest, because his chest is huge. But the sculpt really isn't bad at all, and the webbing and yeah, it actually is a decent Spider-Man Raimi movie sculpt if I'm being honest. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's time to compare these figures next to some other Spider-Man figures, and that's when we can really see how bad these guys are. But then we'll redeem them by looking at the rest of my Spider-Man 3 movie figure collection. Don't be too harsh, don't be too harsh. So here we have our Hasbro Spider-Man 3 movie figures next to the Toy Biz Spider-Man 2 Web Trap Spider-Man figure. And this is arguably one of the best Raimi figures ever made. This one has a bit of his arm blown off. I've spoken about it in other videos, but I've got a couple other web traps because he is so good, and definitely just keep your eye out on eBay for this guy. A lot of the time, if you're lucky, you can grab him cheap like I have, and he just looks so much better than these Spider-Man 3 figures. How could you have such a downgrade? It blows my mind every time I think about it. This figure is awesome. These ones, in comparison, I mean, I'm lost for words. Then we have the Toy Biz Spider-Man 1 Wrestler Spidey, and this figure's sculpt and articulation really isn't great, but it's still such a better figure than these Hasbro Spider-Man 3 figures. It just looks so much better despite it having this weird like hunchback. The whole idea of this figure is to really kind of get him posed as I do right now. And yeah, he once again is just a lot better. That Tobey Maguire head sculpt is spectacular, and these guys just, yeah. Here is another Spider-Man 3 Hasbro figure. This time this was released in the 6-inch scale. Not the best figure, but still a lot better than the 5-inch line seen here. Here is a wee 3.75-inch Spidey. And here is a Toy Biz Spider-Man figure from around 1998. I can't really remember. I'm sure it says somewhere. Let's take a closer look. We did take a closer look at this guy on my eBay bundle video. 1995! So this figure's 12 years older than these other two and is arguably better. Like, I honestly think this figure is better. It has more articulation than, oh my goodness. Yeah, it really speaks volumes. And just a quick comparison before I add the rest of my Spider-Man 3 movie collection in here. Here is the new cheap alternative from Hasbro for the Spider-Man No Way Home integrated suit. And this guy looks so much better. Like, if this type of Spider-Man, the Raimi Spider-Man, was on this sort of mold, it would just look so much better. The legs would be more proportionate, a normal looking body, and then more articulation in the arms. It wouldn't be nearly as bad as what these things are. And here we have it. Here is all the Spider-Man 3 movie figures that I have. I did think I had a couple more, but to be honest, thankfully I don't. I think this is it, and I'll just quickly show off each of them. We've looked at a couple in the past, and I'm going to start with, well, I was going to start with Sandman, but I need Sandman for this guy to stand, so we're going to take a closer look at this guy first. The sculpt of this guy is so bad, I can't even get him to stand on his own. Yeah, his foot's sculpted like this, so if you stand it straight, yeah, this figure sucks. I mean, I picked this guy up because I didn't have a black suited Spider-Man from the movies. I since have picked up a lot better one, but it's still a Hasbro figure from Spider-Man 3 era, so it's still not great, but it is much better than this one. This guy had like a battle feature, so his hands moved. I don't know how you really work it. I don't know if I'm missing something, but yeah, the sculpt kind of sucks. Once again, just the same problem with the legs as the other one. At least the body doesn't look so clunky with like the huge chest in this one. But yeah, I'm just not a massive fan of him, mostly because I can't really get him to stand, and then the action feature in the legs. If that was swapped out and you just had normal articulation in the arms and then the sculpt in the legs was better, I wouldn't mind this guy at all. And then we have Sandman, who I actually bought really cheap because I was making a custom. Well, I say I was making a custom. I bought the Toy Biz Sandman figure, which is a really great figure. I still really like him. But I bought him this on eBay, and he only had his normal hands. So, I mean, the guy technically just looked like a casual civilian. Got this guy cheap, and I took this hand off, which was a big boulder, and just glued it onto the other guy, and it looks great. This figure doesn't actually look too bad. I mean, overall, it's fine. Very sculpted again, so you have to get him standing a particular way. The hands are huge, not much articulation going on, but definitely one of the better ones from this movie line, I think. Still not great. Then we've got this Harry Osborn figure that I'm not going to go over too much. We took a closer look at him in that it was a local Comic-Con bundle video I did not too long ago where I picked up a lot of these figures, so go check that out if you want. Just same problems that all these figures suffer from. Really weak sculpts, really weak articulation. Yeah, the articulation's not great. That is what it is. Then we have just looked at these guys, so we might as well set them to the side, leaving these two, which are the two better figures from this wave. This guy I've had since I was a kid. I got this when I was 7 years old and the Spider-Man 3 film came out, and I loved him at the time, and I think for that reason I still do kind of like him. He came with a glider, a bunch of accessories. The articulation's actually really good on this figure compared to the others. I mean, he's got a whole range of movement in his arms, the chest here, the waist, the legs. He's got double jointed knees and everything, even the feet are articulated. And I just never get when Hasbro makes a figure that is as good as this and then makes all the other figures in the same line with nowhere near as good articulation or sculpt and the whole rest of it. It just shows how lazy they are, and I really wish a lot of these Spider-Man figures kept up with the detail and the articulation and the much sleeker and more natural looking sculpt of this figure, because if they did, it would really be hard to be so harsh on all the other figures, but here we are. And then last in our wee collection here is the Green Goblin, which articulation isn't that great, still more than some of the ones we've looked at. The arms you can move around a wee bit, like that. I mean, yeah, that's not the best. Same here, but we can move it around up at the shoulder, once again, a wee bit. That sounds like it's going to break. But the thing I really like about this figure is the sculpt. It just looks awesome. It really has captured the Green Goblin costume from that first film really well, and once again this figure came with a glider and everything, so I mean, yeah, it is what it is and I really like it. So there we go guys, there's a closer look at the Peter Parker Spider-Man 3 quick change figure, and once again I did just want to take a closer look at this guy because the other Toy Biz figures with the Peter Parker head sculpts and everything are great, and I personally love the Raimi films, I love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and I thought why not pick this guy up. I'm happy to have him, but he is not a good figure. In the same regard, none of these Spider-Man 3 Hasbro figures are great or maybe even good. I know a lot of it is personal preference and personal opinion, so I don't want to be too harsh, but yeah, I'm just not a massive fan. I do like them for what they are, but nothing is ever going to beat those Toy Biz Spider-Man movie figures. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you do like these Hasbro Spider-Man 3 figures, let me know what your favourite one is down in the comment section, and if I've not looked at it here, I might try and pick them up. If I have looked at them here, then I'm happy that I do have one of the best already in the collection. So yeah, let me know down in the comment section. While you're down there guys, hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button. I'll leave the link to my Instagram down in the description below, so feel free to hop on over there and check that out. Feel free to hop on over to the channel page and check out any of my other videos. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, I'll catch yous on the flip flop later. Cheers.